is possible.
If you try and be patient, it pays off while you're waiting. The seeds you water will grow, the rest will follow. Cause this life's what you make it, and some rules are for breaking. Destiny will play its role, you know. What's meant to be will be, even when it's not easy. Live your life free, no boundaries, even when it's not easy. If you give love, you get love. If you give up, you get nothing. Can't you see? If you just believe anything's possible, don't rush too much. When it gets rough, get tough, sing with me. Through everything, anything is possible. Doesn't always make sense why some things gotta happen. Fight through the rain, cause you know the sun will follow. If you practice persistence, somebody's gonna witness. You're working hard and it shows, you know. What's meant to be will be, even when it's not easy. Live your life free, no boundaries, even when it's not easy. If you give love, you get love. If you give up, you get nothing. Can't you see? If you just believe anything's possible, don't rush too much. When it gets rough, get tough, sing with me. Through everything, anything is possible. Are you ready to go? I've waited for a long time. I must be out of my mind. Now I'm ready for this to start. When the lights go out, it's so dark. When the moment comes to find the heart, are you ready to go? Go, go, go. Are you ready to go? Go, go, go. Are you ready to go?
Anything is possible.
If you try and be patient, it pays off while you're waiting. The seeds you water will grow, the rest will follow. Cause this life's what you make it, and some rules are for breaking. Destiny will play its role, you know. What's meant to be will be, even when it's not easy. Live your life free, no boundaries, even when it's not easy. If you give love, you get love. If you give up, you get nothing. Can't you see? If you just believe anything's possible, don't rush too much. When it gets rough, get tough, sing with me. Through everything, anything is possible. Doesn't always make sense why some things gotta happen. Fight through the rain, cause you know the sun will follow. If you practice persistence, somebody's gonna witness. You're working hard and it shows, you know. What's meant to be will be, even when it's not easy. Live your life free, no boundaries, even when it's not easy. If you give love, you get love. If you give up, you get nothing. Can't you see? If you just believe anything's possible, don't rush too much. When it gets rough, get tough, sing with me. Through everything, anything is possible. Are you ready to go?
During the spring or the summer. to make sure that we consistently exceed your expectations because you are our guests and our
Waited
customers.
for a
We want you to
long
have the best
time.
possible experience that you can.
Must be
Our
out of
Michigan
my
camps are
mind.
going to be and will remain
I'm
safe
ready
havens for
for this
experiencing
to
the
start.
best of the adventures and values of Boy Scouts in America.
When
So
the
as I said,
lights
we're really working
go
hard to put an innovative
out,
program together that meets the needs of all scouts and one that's going to be provided by qualified and talented staff. We continue in our hiring process to find more admin
are you ready to go?
qualified staff. Great news led by our program director Marie, who are busy developing what our programs are going to look like in the various areas. Drew is working really hard
Ready to
to
go?
plan and implement a high-quality food service program. That's a large task, and we've taken that on and is working on it on a daily basis. We continue to work with Chris, our ranger, to upgrade and refresh our facilities. We have teams of volunteers who come in and help with that process, and we are always looking for more people to help.
Good
We give
evening.
Chris a whole
Welcome
lot of
everybody
thanks for all
back
the
to
work
our
that he's doing to get our
March
facilities
version
ready to go
of our
for camp.
leaders webinar. We're so
And
happy that
we
you
will
could join
engage
us
you,
tonight.
our leaders.
It's
in our
amazing that it's been
process
an entire
implementation.
month since we've
We
gotten
are
together
open
to have a
conversation
conversation
with you
again. Lots
anytime
of
that you
change.
need it.
Changes
via
have taken
email,
place, and
via
we all know
phone,
that
in
lots more
person.
will happen
We
before we
want
get
your
to summer
input,
camp.
and we want
So we're
your
going to get started
knowledge as
tonight, and there
Scoutmasters
will
to
be
help us as
opportunities
we
for
put our
questions
program
as the night
together.
goes on. Chris, next slide, please.
Next slide, please.
So as always, you've seen this slide before.
So
we are
tonight's focus
continuing
is
to
going to
follow
be
the
how
guidelines that
camp
are
will
given
be
to us
safer
by
this
the
summer.
MCC board. And
Again,
all of this is
remember,
based on the current
the schedules
information
and procedures
from
that
the state
we're
of
putting in
Michigan,
place now
the CDC,
are
and
subject
Laura,
to
our
change. Even what we're going to talk
licensing
about tonight.
we
is
will
subject
keep you
to
posted
change
and updated as
guidance is
things
received
change,
from the
which you are
licensing
all
agency.
aware of because I
We
think
will
you've got
keep
some
you
information in
as
the last
updated as
2
we
weeks or
can
so.
to make sure
Please
that you
remember
have the
that
most
all
current
programs and
information.
schedules are
What we're going to
subject
do
change
tonight,
at any time
differently than we've
based
done in
on
the past,
current
is I'm going to
COVID
break
guidelines.
down
We
each
will
of the
do
topics
our very best to not make
as it relates to
significant
COVID and
changes
camp being
to the
safe.
programs that we are
And
offering
at the end of each
but we will
slide,
make some
we will
changes if
stop
we
and
need
we
to
will
based
take
on the
questions
guidelines
relevant
we are
to that
given.
topic.
If you
So
have
type
specific
your
questions
slides into the
about
chat.
COVID,
Diana's going to help
we're going
with
to answer
that.
a
She's
lot
going
of
to
things
monitor
tonight,
the
but
questions
please send an
coming in.
email
She's going to help
and
with
we will
answering some
direct
of
them
those
to the appropriate
questions.
individual
Rather
to
than
be
wait and
answered,
try to take all of this at
or
the end,
Drew and
we're
I
going to
will
do it
answer
topic
them
by topic
for you,
as we go
either by
that
phone call or by
keep
email.
everything clear and everybody can get
Next
their
slide,
questions
please.
answered.
So our
Next
promise
slide,
to you
please.
remains that we, the camp staff, are dedicated to providing a legendary scout camp experience. We are working diligently as we go through the spring to put together quality programs during the spring and for the summer, all geared to make sure that we consistently exceed your expectations because you are our guests and our customers and want to have the best possible experience. Our Michigan camps are going to be and will remain safe havens for experiencing the best of the adventures and values. So as I said, we're really working temperature, and we'll continue on.
Thanks, Chris, for that video. That kind of sets the stage for where
the next
we're
question
go
I'll
tonight.
answer when we
So
get to the next
the first
slide.
topic
Anybody
we're
else
going to
have
talk
any
about is
questions about
check-in.
how check-in
In
is
order
going
to
work?
make check-in as socially distanced as we can, units are going to be assigned at
If not,
check-in
Chris will
time. go to the next
slide.
We will check in units
Campsites.
going to the
So
start,
this is a big
the
one.
start path separately, and we
Gerber
will
Scout
also check in
Reservation
people
is
going
not
down
gonna
the
be using
Indian
canvas
Trail.
tents this
So there will
summer.
be 2
You and
units
I have had
checking in
many
at the same
conversations
time, but on
about
different
this.
ends of the parking
With the
lot.
guidelines of
So all
putting
members
one
of your
scout
group
per
must
tent,
be present to
it
check
is
in at
not
that time.
feasible.
We'll
We
stagger
just
those
can't put that
times
many
so that
canvas tents
you
on
will
a
be
site.
the only
So
people will be
units will need to
working
bring
with
their own
as
tents
you
for-
arrive at
for
camping. Temperatures must be
there is
taken before
obviously one
anyone
person per
exits their
tent.
vehicle.
Siblings
I know
may
that's
tent
different
together.
than we've done in the past, but keep the
Tents should
kids
be
in the
spaced
car.
6 feet
We'll
apart.
get everybody's
in your
temperatures
campsite
taken and
reported
reported.
by your patrol
And
pods. We'll
then
talk about
the
those
unit will be
later.
taken to your campsite
Dining
by their
canopies
troop guide
will be
to
provided
complete the
as they
check-in
always
process.
are.
That's going to go the same as it normally does. You will be allowed to have a vehicle that will take your trailer back to your site.
Fine, but we
That
will put
vehicle
up
can
with
stay
the
attached to that trailer in your
the way we
site.
always have
All the
done
other
that.
vehicles will remain in the parking lot. And
I
the
know
kids
that
will-
most
will
units or
carry
many
their
units
gear
have
back to
their
your
own
campsite.
tents. A lot of
The
your
key
scouts
there
have
is
their own tents.
you all need to arrive
If
at the
you
same
find
time, and you
yourself
need to
in a
arrive
situation where you
at
have
the
a
assigned
scout or a
time
family
so that
that's
we can
unable to
get those
locate a
temperatures
tent,
taken
or if you
and
don't have
verify
enough tents,
that everybody's
please
good to
contact me
go.
directly and I will work with you.
The
to
scoutmaster
make sure
at that point or a
we
designated
find you what
adult
you
will
need to
complete
be
the
able to come
administrative
to
portion
camp
of check-in.
and camp
That will be
comfortably in camp.
verifying with
I know
the
that when you
business-
register,
our
you have that
business
option
manager
to select
that
the
fees have been
campsite
paid
that
and
you'd
that
like
you
to be
you know
in.
you got
We will
everything
make
set the
every
way you
effort
need
to put you
financially.
in the
It will
campsite
also
that
be a
you
time to meet
request.
with the health officer
In the event
and
that
turn
it's
in your
not
forms
possible,
as needed.
I will contact
to
you
get that
personally, and
completed.
we're going to talk about
The
options
rest
and,
of your
what
group
you would
will
like
get
to
moved
do.
to the campsite like they normally
Excuse
do.
me. All of our
and
campsites
get
have a
ready and get things set up.
recommended units are
number
encouraged to
of
complete their swim checks
campers that
prior
fit
to
in a
coming to
campsite.
camp.
That kind
will
of sometimes
help
will
us
avoid
determine whether or not it's
congestion
or
down
not
at the beach.
Also,
for
some
that
units have
portion of
adopted
check-in.
campsites, and
my
that's something
understanding
that they
is
do
from
as a
some people
year-round,
that they are
service
interested
project
in
to the
having
camp.
so
a
if they
class,
have requested that site,
as is
I've done
obviously
in
we're
the
gonna
past to
accommodate
give
that
them
as
the
best
training to
we
perform
can.
those swim checks.
I will look
So
into
that
that,
kind of
and that
answers
is
that
something I will get back
question.
to you on.
Diana, do you have
And
anything
we'll get you that information
specific about
in an email.
tents?
Oh,
But if you
there's
can
somebody
arrange to
arrange
have
those
about
swim checks done
electricity,
before you come.
there are
It's going to
electrical
give you a lot of
outlets
extra
for
time to get set up,
CPAP
and it's going to help
machines
us with
in all
congestion.
campsites. So are there
Except
Kiowa
looking at
and the Jibwa, the
questions.
two way
So
in the back?
one question is, will partial week
that
adults
remains
still be
the
allowed?
same.
Yes, they
And,
will, same as they always have.
when
Typically,
that
if someone's
switch
asking
occurs
about
or when
arriving a
when an
day
adult
early,
comes in
please
midweek,
contact me
they'll check
directly
in
and
at
we
the
can make
office.
those arrangements.
We'll take their temperature
I see no reason
and
to
we'll
not continue
do
on
that.
the same way
We
we
just will
always
again set up a specific time that
have.
you'll
The next
check
question
in,
I'll answer when
and
we get to the
we'll
next
make that
slide.
happen.
Anybody
Please
else have any
contact me
questions
directly to
about
make
how
that
check-in is
arrangement.
going to work? Please. Brian, what you have question for a medical need? Can you clarify that? If not, Chris, we'll go to the next slide. Campsites. So this is a big one. Okay, Gerber Scout Reservation, so there's electric and all campsites except Kiowa and a Gerber. Drew and I have had many conversations about this. Any other questions
With the
about
guidelines
tents
of
and putting one scout per tent? It is not feasible. We just can't put that many canvas.
If
tents
you
in
think
the
of one
site.
as we go
So
on, still
units
type it.
will need to
Diana's
bring
gonna
their
keep a
own
good eye on
tents
this.
for
So next
camping.
slide, please.
There is obviously one
Pre-camp.
person per
So
tent.
you saw in
Siblings
the
may tent
short
together.
video, it talked about
Tents
some
should be
pre-camp
spaced
things
6
that
feet
you're going
apart
to need to be doing.
in your campsite.
We're
and
asking
grouped
that
by
for
your
14
patrol
days
pods.
prior
We'll
to
talk
coming
about
to
those
camp,
later.
that
Dining
participants stay
canopies
close
will
to
be
home.
provided
You don't need
as
to
they always
quarantine.
are. Not,
Troops
may
confined to
bring your own if
Stay
you
close
if you
to
wish.
home.
I know a lot
Avoid
of units
large
have their
group
own that they
gatherings.
add to their
Follow the
campsite,
guidelines
and
that
is
we
fine.
know
But
are
we
out
will
there
put
to
up the
reduce
canvas
the risk
dining
of
supplies
transmission.
the way we always
There's a
have done
form that
that.
you'll need to complete.
It's called a pre-event.
I know that
form.
most units or
And
many
what it's
units
going to
have
ask you to
their
do
own
is to
tents.
take your
A lot of
temperature
your
each
scouts
day
have
and
their own
record
tents.
that. And it
If
also
you
is
find
going to
yourself
ask
in a
you
situation
whether or
where you
not
have a
you
scout or a family
have
that is
any of the
unable to
symptoms of
locate a
COVID.
tent,
It's just a
or if you don't
checkbox,
have enough
and you
tents,
say, yes,
please
I do,
contact
or
me
no,
No, I
directly, and I will work with you
to make
It's-
sure that
this
that
is something
we
that's
find
pretty
you what you
short
need
and
to be
easy
able
for
to
you
come
to do
camp
before you come to
and
camp, but it will help
comfortably
us
in camp.
make sure
I
that
know that
we
when you
will
register, you
maintain
have
our
that
safe
option
little
to
Gerber
select the
bubble
campsite
while you're
that you'd
with
like
us.
to be in.
Staff
We
will be
will
doing
make
the same
every
thing
effort
to
everyone
put you
who
in the
comes to
campsite
camp
that
for
you
any reason
request.
will be doing the same
In the event that it's
thing.
not possible,
You'll turn those
I will
forms
contact you
in
personally
when
and we're
you
going to
arrive
talk
at
about
camp
options
with
and
your
what
health
you would like
forms,
to do.
and those will be kept
Excuse me,
in-
all of our
in the
campsites
way
have
we
a
keep our health forms. They are
recommended
confidential.
number
They will be looked at
of
by
campers that
The
fit
camp
in a
director and the
that
health
kind of
officer is
sometimes
about
will
what's gonna
determine
happen
whether or
with
not it's a good fit or a not fit.
Also,
So
some
we
units have
a
adopted
question. If a
campsites,
scout is
and that's
going to a
something that
church
they
camp
do
the week
as a
prior to
year-round,
when the troop is scheduled,
service project to
but
the
that
camp.
camp
So
is
if they
following
have
the same
requested that
quarantine-related
site,
procedures
obviously
and
we're going to
distancing,
accommodate that.
does
as
that
best
interfere with the
we
quarantine
can.
for scout camp? No, it does not.
So that kind of answers
You're really
that
not quarantining
question.
for 14 days.
Diana, do
You're
we have
just
anything
checking your temperature
specific
and you're
about
screening
temps?
your own health.
There's somebody had a question about electricity.
There are electrical outlets
in a
for
trustworthy manner.
CPAP machines
So,
in all
so the
campsites.
next question is 14 days of temperature
except
checks.
Kiowa
Yes,
and the Ojibwa,
14
the
days
two
of
way in the back.
temperature checks.
That remains the same. And
Typically,
so the question is, where can we find the health screening
Please
form?
contact me
That
directly.
form will be made available to you as soon
I
as
see no
it
reason
is
to not
decided on
that.
and complete.
We just
And
will again set up
there will
a
be a
specific
packet of
time that you'll
information
check in,
that you will
and,
get that
we'll
have
make that happen.
has that
Please
information
contact me
and those
directly to
forms
make
in
that
it.
arrangement.
If you go to the next slide, Chris, Brian, what you have question for a medical need?
This
Can
is
you
similar
clarify
to what that form might look like.
So it's just a one-page thing. It asks you to record a temperature, yes or no, do I have symptoms? It's that simple of a
Okay,
of a
yes,
form.
so there is electric in all campsites except Kiowa
and just
and
watch
Ojibwa.
for that to come out. It will come out to you within
Any
the next,
other questions about
several
tents
weeks.
and campsites?
So Jim is asking, do we need to turn in 2 weeks of temperature checks? Yes.
If you think
And
you want
does
to
all
go
of this
on,
apply
still
if you are
type it.
fully
Diana's gonna keep a
vaccinated?
good eye on this.
Yes.
It still
So
applies.
next
It's
slide, a guideline that we are being given by
Pre-camp.
the state of
So
Michigan's
you saw in
licensing
the
agencies.
short video,
We have to
it
do
talked
it.
about some
And it
pre-camp
applies
things
to
that
all
you're
of
going
us
to need to be
equally.
doing.
Me
We're
included.
asking that for the 14 days prior to coming to camp,
Chris, next
that
slide, please.
participants stay close to home. You don't need to quarantine. You're not, confined to your home. But
So
stay
while
close
you're
to
at
home.
camp, avoid large group
Every
gatherings.
unit's going to have their
Follow
own
the guidelines
designated
that we
health
know are out
officer
there
or health
to
person,
reduce the risk of
and that
transmission.
person will need to
There's
complete
a
a
form that
temperature
you'll
check
need to
for all
complete. It's
scouts
called a
in your
pre-event
unit
screening
every morning.
form.
And
what
turn
it's
in
going to
that
ask you to
health
do
check
is to
form
take your
as
temperature each
directed.
day
It
and
will
likely
record
go
that.
to,
And it also is going to ask
the health
you
officer
whether or
to the
not
office
you
will
have
determine how that
any of
needs
the
to happen.
symptoms
Again,
of COVID. It's
those
just a
forms will be
checkbox,
kept confidential.
and you
They're
say,
not available.
yes, I
to
do, or
people
no,
to
I
look
don't.
at. But we will be
Um,
doing a temperature check.
This is
on
something
everybody
that's
in
pretty
camp
short and
every
easy
morning.
for you to
Again,
do
that
before you
includes
come to camp.
our
But it
leadership
will help
team,
us
make
our
sure that
staff,
we will
our
maintain
kitchen
our
folks,
safe little Gerber
everybody
bubble
in camp is going
while
to have
you're
their
with
temperature
us.
checked in the morning.
Staff will
We
be doing
will
the same
provide your
thing.
unit. Everyone who comes to
A
camp for any
thermometer for that
reason will
purpose.
be doing the
So you
same
don't have to worry
thing.
about buying
You'll
one,
turn
bringing
those
one,
forms in
in
when
batteries
you
or any of
arrive
those
at
kinds
camp.
of things.
You'll
With your
actually
health
have
forms,
a little
and
kit
those
that
will
has
be
those
kept
forms
and
and
the
the
thermometer
thermometer
in
in
it,
health forms.
and
They
we
are
will make sure
confidential.
that that is
They will be
available
looked at
to
by
you.
the camp director.
We're
and
asking
the
that all
health officer
participants, youth and
about
adults,
what's
wear a
gonna happen
mask,
with that.
except when you're eating, swimming, or
Um,
sleeping.
So
we have a
that's really not a
question.
whole
If
lot
a
different than
scout
kids
is
do
going
now
to a
as they
church
go to
camp the
school,
week
and
prior
so
to
they're
when the troop is
pretty
scheduled,
adjusted to that.
but that camp is
procedure.
following the same
Probably for a little
quarantine-related
more
procedures and
difficult for the
distancing,
adults, but
does that interfere
we'll
with the
ask that you
quarantine
wear
for
that
scout
mask,
camp?
a
No,
cloth
it does not.
mask or face covering.
You're really
when you're
not
eating,
quarantining
except
for
when you're
14
eating,
days.
swimming,
You're
or
just
sleeping.
checking your temperature and you're
Frequent hand
screening your
washing
own
is
health.
going to be stressed.
A scout
It
has
has
been in the
trustworthy,
past, but it
yes,
will be
you're
again
gonna
this year.
answer those
Hand
things
washing station
in a
and or
trustworthy
hand
manner.
sanitizer will be available in
So-
all program
so the
areas.
next question is 14
Any
days of
place that there is
temperature checks.
a latrine
Yes,
with
14
running
days of
water, we
temperature
are
checks.
installing soap dispensers, paper towel dispensers. Those will all be stocked.
So
the
cleaned
question is, where can we find the
regularly
health
throughout
screening
the day to
form?
make sure that
That
those
form
are
will be made
available,
available to you as soon
you're
as
passing by
it
them,
is
or if you're in a
decided
program
on
area
and
that has
complete,
one.
and it'll be.
If you're at a
there'll be
program
packet
area
of
that does
information
not have a
that you will
latrine,
get
we
that
will
have
have sanitized
that
hand
information
sanitizer
those
there
forms
for
in
you
it.
to use as
If you
they
go
come
to the
into
next
and
slide,
go out
Chris,
of that area.
all program areas and
This is
equipment
similar
will
to
be
what that form
sanitized
might look
between
like.
groups,
And
so it's just a one-page.
So as you come
thing.
into the
It asks
rifle
you to
range, you're
record
going
a
to be asked
temperature,
to,
yes or no, do I have symptoms? It's
use
that
hand
simple
sanitizer
of
to
a
clean your hands.
of a form.
When you complete your merit badge there, you will be asked
And
to
just watch for that
write
to come out.
down
It will come out
the
to
gun
you,
that you're using.
within the next.
Again, they'll
several
spray
weeks.
the benches that you're on.
So
And that
Jim
will
is
happen
asking, do we
between
need to
every
turn in
group
2 weeks of temperature
in every
checks?
merit badge
Yes.
area. So the goal is,
And does all of this apply if you are
if fully
yourself as
vaccinated.
safe as possible.
Yes, it still applies.
I know there are
A
schools
guideline
that
that we are
they
being
call
given
it white
by
in,
the
white
state
out,
of Michigan's
wipe out.
licensing
So,
agency.
so what
We have
kids
to
are
do it.
used to is as they come into,
And it
they go
applies
the
to all of
computer
us
lab,
if they go into,
me
you know,
included.
another area in their school. They're already doing this.
Chris, next
So
slide, please.
they're cleaning their area and cleaning their hands as they come in, and I'm cleaning their area as they leave.
So while
We'll
you're
ask
at
them
camp,
to do that.
every unit's
As-
going to
as
have their
it
own
is
designated
feasible
health
for them to
officer
do
or
if they're
health
using
person. some equipment.
And that
just
person
they
will
have
need to
touched.
complete a
But the
temperature
staff
check
will also
for
be
all
cleaning
scouts
that
in your
program
unit
area
every morning
each
and turn in
group.
that
I've
health
put
check
in some
form
travel time
as directed.
in the schedule.
It
If
will
you've
likely
looked at
go
that,
to
that's for two
the
reasons,
health
because I
officer
know
or
that
to
it's
the
hard to
office.
get from one end to
We'll
camp to the
determine
other,
how
so
that
we're
needs to
gonna
happen.
put that
Again,
time in there.
those forms will
But
be
it's
kept
also time for the
confidential. They're
staff
not
to then
available
clean
to people to
before
look
the
at.
next group
But we
arrives.
will be doing a temperature check.
Any questions
on
about
everybody
that
in camp
in what we're
every
doing
morning.
while you're at
Again,
camp?
that includes our leadership team, our staff, our kitchen folks. Everybody in camp is going to have
Okay,
their
next
temperature
slide,
checked
please.
in the morning. We will provide your unit. So this is what
a
that
thermometer
daily
for that purpose.
campsite health
So you
screening
don't have
form
to
is.
worry
It's very
about
much
buying
similar
one,
to if
bringing
you've been
one,
coming to camp at all on weekends.
batteries or any of those
It's a
kinds of
roster. It
things.
has
You'll
their
actually
names, and you're
have
just gonna
a little kit
yes,
that
no
has
on
those
symptoms
forms
and write their
and a
temperature
thermometer
down.
in it, and we will make sure that that is available to you.
We're asking that all
So,
participants, youth and
Diana,
adults,
maybe
wear
you
a
can help me
mask,
with this question.
except when
Does
you're
all the
eating,
supply
swimming,
or
or
sleeping?
can you bikes be
That's
allowed
really
to
not a
travel
whole lot
between
different than
merit
kids do now as they go to school, and so they're pretty adjusted to
Okay,
that.
let's
that
talk about that when we
procedure.
get to the pod
Probably
thing,
for a
because
little
that might be
more
more
difficult
difficult
for
for
the
the answer
adults,
that
but
question, but be thinking
We'll ask
about
that you wear that
Diana.
mask, a cloth
So dining hall
mask or face
procedures. At
covering.
this point,
When
you're
if
eating,
you've been to Gerber in
except
the
for when you're
past, you
eating,
realize that we
swimming,
have
or
a very
sleeping.
large dining hall. And that's
Frequent
going to
hand
help us out a
washing is
lot
going to
this
be
summer.
stressed.
It
We
has
will
been in
make
the
sure
past,
that our
but it will
dining
be
hall
again
is as
this year.
open as possible
Hand
for
washing
air
stations
circulation.
and our
We will
hand
have windows
sanitizers will
open.
be available
We will
in
have
all
doors
program
open. We're
areas.
going to have as much fresh
Any
air,
place that
clean
there
air
is
moving
a
through
latrine with running water, we are installing
We've
soap
always
dispensers,
assigned troop
paper
seating
towel
in the dining
dispensers.
hall, and
Those
we'll
will
do that
all be
again.
stocked,
But we'll also
and
include some
cleaned
extra social
regularly
distancing
spaced
from
from
the
to
other
make sure
troops
that those are
that are
available
in the dining hall
as
when
you're
you're
passing
in
by
there.
them, or if you're in a program
We're
area
asking that
pods
pods
share a table.
If you're at a
so
program
we're gonna
area that does
limit
not
the
have a
number of
latrine,
people
we
at
will
each
have
table to
sanitized
4.
hand sanitizer there
That's
for
our
you
social
to use as they
distancing
come
there.
into and go out of
We
that
will be
area.
using disposable
All
tableware
program
and
areas and
silverware
equipment
for all
will
of
be
our meals
sanitized between groups
and
or classes.
So as
And
you
what
come
we'll
into
be
the rifle
doing,
range,
you'll still be able, at this point,
you're still able to go through the
use hand
cafeteria line.
sanitizer, clean your
Meals will be
hands.
served to you the
When you
same way they
complete your
always
merit
have
badge
done.
there,
You will be
we are
asked
not going to ask
wipe
you to bust
down
your tables
the
and
gun
bring
that
all
you're
of your
using
stuff. Again,
up to that
they'll
kitchen
spray
window.
the benches
We'll have
that
a
you're
trash
on,
container,
and that will happen
at
between
each
every
troop's
group.
area.
And
So
when
every
we finish
merit
your
badge
meal,
area.
we'll
So
ask
the
you to
goal
take care
is
of your
to
trash, put it into your
you and
trash
your scouts
container,
as safe
and then
as
you'll
possible.
leave the dining hall.
I
and
know
our
there are
staff will
schools
actually
that
clean
they
your
call it
tables
wipe
and
in, wipe out,
sanitize them,
wipe
and
out.
take care of that for you
what
this summer.
kids are used to is
That
as
way,
they come into,
we
they
don't
go to
have
the
kids
computer
interacting
lab, if they go
with
into,
other kids and running
another
all over the
area in
dining
their
hall.
school.
They're
We are
already doing
not
this,
going to be able
so
to have a
they're
salad bar
cleaning their area
or that
and cleaning their
breakfast
hands
bar
as they
this
come
year
in,
because we're
and then
not
cleaning
only
their
able
area
to
as they
serve food in that
We will
manner.
ask them to do
So
that.
Drew and I are looking at and working out
as
ways.
it
I know there are a
is
lot of people
feasible
that,
for
that
them to do if
really
they're
enjoy
using
the salad
some
with their
equipment
meals.
that
We
just
are
they
working
have
on
touched,
ways that
but the
still
staff
happen.
will also be cleaning that program
It just
area
will not be a serve
between
yourself
each
kind of a
group.
salad bar.
I've put
So,
in some travel time.
if you have thoughts on that or good ideas about
that,
how you think we
that's
might
for two
implement that
reasons,
into the
because I
meal,
know that
I'd
it's
love
hard to
have
get
you
from
shoot
one
me
end
an
to
email
camp
or
to the other,
shoot
and
one
so
to
we're
Drew,
going to book that
and
time in
we
there.
will continue
But
to
it's
work
also
on
time
that
for
as
the
we
staff
go
to then
forward.
clean
Before the next
Um,
group arrives.
if necessary. We're going to put
questions
meals
about
on a
that
rotating schedule,
what
like
we're doing
schools do
while you're
A
at
lunch,
camp?
B lunch. That is going to be determined by the number of campers there are in camp and the number that we can put in a dining
Okay,
hall
next
for any
slide,
given
please.
meal. So if you're coming week 3, which
So this is what that
traditionally
daily
a very small
campsite
week
health
because it's
screening form is.
It's
4th
very
of
much
July.
similar to if
You'll
you've
probably
been
all
coming to eat
camp at
together
all on weekends.
If you're coming
It's a
week
roster,
1,
it has their names,
as I'm
and you're
watching
just
those
gonna-
numbers
gonna
grow,
yes, no
week
on
1 might be a
symptoms and write
time
their
that we do an
temperature
A
down.
lunch, B lunch schedule. But there's plenty of time in our day and in our schedule to make that happen.
So,
Again, kids are
Diana,
very used
maybe
to
you can
being
help me
in and
with
out
this
of the
question.
cafeteria
Does
at
all the
school
supply
in a very
does can bikes be
manner.
allowed to travel
So
between
we
merit
will
badges?
work on those kind of details as we go forward. The key change
Okay,
is
let's talk about that when
the
we get to the pod
extra
thing,
space
because that might be
between
will
units
help
in the
answer
dining
that
hall,
question. But be thinking about
using
that, Diana.
disposable tableware.
So
that
dining
we
hall
don't need
procedures.
to,
At
at this point, if
be
you've been to
concerned
Gerber in the
with
past, you realize that we have a very
busting
large
tables and
dining
dishes
hall,
and all those
and that's
things.
going to help us out a lot this summer. We
Let me
will
see,
make sure that our
Diana,
dining hall is
questions?
as open as possible for air circulation.
Sorry, Mary, I got
We will
kicked
have
out for a
windows
little bit,
open. We
and
will
I
have
just got
doors
back.
open. We're going to have as much fresh
That's
air,
good.
clean air moving through there.
So I'm
that
back,
we-
but
as
I
we
don't
can.
have any of the previous questions.
We've always assigned troop seating.
Okay, so there's a question about,
again.
we'll also
weather
include some
emergencies.
extra social
Because
distancing
we use
space
our
from the
dining
other
hall
troops
for weather
that are
emergencies,
in the
I can see
dining
where
hall
that
when
question
you're
is.
in
It has
there.
come up before.
We're
And I
asking
have
that
asked that
pods share a
question. In the
table, so
event
we're
of
gonna
a severe
limit the
weather
number of
emergency where we
people at each
normally bring everyone to the dining hall, we will still do that. A weather emergency is a weather emergency. We will be using disposable tableware and silverware for all of our meals. We'll ask that you wear a mask, and we can socially distance. We'll be doing quite a bit in that dining hall. It holds 720 cafeteria line, and I don't anticipate that we'll ever have the same way they always have. Unfortunately, this summer 720 people there. So we will continue that process as we normally do. Up to that kitchen. In the event of a weather emergency, we'll have a trash container to the dining hall at each troops area. We will have some interesting ways. Drew has got trash. Put it into your trash container, and then you'll leave the dining hall. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And our staff will actually clean your tables. Drew, you want to talk about it? And take care of that for you this summer. That way, we don't have kids interacting with.
Thank you to some of our foundations that have donated to Gerber.
We are not going to be able to have a salad bar or that
purchase new things this year for the dining hall. A few things that we.
So Drew and I are looking at working out ways. I know there are a lot of people that really enjoy the salad.
And are mounted up on our walls in the dining hall is new TVs to help us with getting the information out to you guys during meals.
If you have thoughts on that or good ideas about how you think
and
we
all
might
the information that you're going to want to know throughout the week.
To have you shoot me an email
so that'll be helping us out throughout the summer for communication aspect, and so we're looking forward.
If necessary, we're going to put meals on a rotating schedule like schools do: A lunch, B lunch. That will also help determined by the number of other emergencies there are. It gives them something to do. So we'll be all set up and ready to go. Dining hall for any given meal. So if you're coming week 3, which is traditionally a very small week. So can I ask, in case of a weather emergency, will you have masks available? If you're middle of the night, kids are disoriented, yes, we will. And I know that question is we do an A lunch, B lunch schedule. And they're going to forget in our day and in our schedule to make that happen. Again, kids are very used to being in and out of the cafeteria at school in a very manner. So we'll work on their masks and make it their and they don't. The key change is the extra space between units in the dining hall. And I am sorry. If I turn off my video, that will help. I know last month somebody wanted to see me. If you don't care, I'll turn my video off and then I won't cut out quite as much. Diana, questions?
Sorry, Mary, I got kicked out for a little bit and I just got back.
That's good.
So I'm back, but I don't have any of the previous questions.
Okay, so there's a question about the weather emergency. Because we use our dining hall for weather emergencies, that makes sense. I can see where that question is, and it's come up before. And we're going to ask that you divide your kids into patrols of 3. Where we normally bring everyone to the dining hall. We will still do that. A weather emergency is a weather emergency, and your safety is important. We'll ask that you wear a mask. We can and they'll stay together, and they'll travel together for the week. So they'll go to Eagle Quest for the morning. They'll go to lunch together. Then in the afternoon, as a group of 4 scouts, they need to formally work together. In the event of a weather emergency, still come to the dining hall. And we will have, some interesting ways. We have some really interesting things being planned for our evening program, and it's going to allow us to spread kids around camp and not have those big groups of whole camp activities going on, but rather
some of our
allow for a lot more spread out activities. So they'll go to those activities as well. They'll have to talk together and
a few things
figure out where they're gonna go for their free time
this year.
Excuse me, Mary, you were cutting in and out a little bit on that. So we were wondering if we've got some people that were wondering if you could repeat what you said, because we couldn't hear.
When it comes to the messages,
so it was literally like on for 5 seconds and off for 5 seconds.
So that'll be
sorry.
Helping us out throughout the summer for
I live in the woods and in the country, and sometimes internet is not as good as it should be.
I think it's kind of, we were all hoping that it would get better, so it's kind of like, okay, maybe next time, and then it kept on kind of going back and forth.
Do we need to talk about the dining hall over again, or are we ready to go?
No, just this slide. So the patrol pods. Yep.
Okay. So our guidelines from our licensing agency, in case of a weather emergency, will you have masks available? Have scouts travel in pods or patrols of 3 to 10 scouts. And I know that question is, they will spend their day together and they will go to their same areas together. When they go to a merit badge class, there will be other pods, obviously, from other troops that are there, but we're asking
that those three kids stay together so they minimize that mixing of kids with everybody else. An example of that is if you have a pod of 4 first-year campers who need to go to Eagle Quest, they will be a pod. They'll stay together all week. If I turn off my video, that will help. In the afternoon, last month somebody wanted to see me. In the afternoon, they'll choose what mirror badges they want to do together. Quite as much. A little consensus building, a little collaboration being taught, and they'll do those activities. Older scouts, a pod maybe of 3 scouts who are second and third year campers. They'll work together on deciding what 5 merit badges they would like to do, and they'll go to those together. We're going to call them patrol pods because that makes sense. This is a good time to work. We're going to ask that you divide your kids to help them form their own pods because they they all travel with their friends anyway at summer camp. So this is an opportunity for them to say, well, these are the 2 kids that I would like to, or the 3 kids that I would like to spend my week with, and they can work together, and they'll travel together for the week, choosing what merit badges they would like to do. They'll go to lunch together, and then in the afternoon, the adults are as a group of 4 scouts. They need to give them that task. We'll figure this out, and we'll be able to plan who they want to spend their day with and how they want to make that happen. We have some really interesting things being planned for our evening program.
We do have a bunch of questions, and I'm sorry I need to cut you off. Let me know when you're ready.
Not have those big groups of the last little piece of this whole camp activities going on, but rather and they're going to situations that just don't more spread out activities. So they'll go to those activities as well. They'll have to talk together. If you find yourself with that kind of a situation, before you throw your hands up, figure out where they're going to go for their free time. Send me an email.
Excuse me,
call
Mary,
me on the phone.
You were talk through your
situation.
So we were wondering if we've got some people that were wondering if you could repeat what you said.
A plan that works within our guidelines, but also works for you.
So it was literally like on for 5 seconds and off
one of the
for 5
things that
seconds.
Diana and I talked about was the older youth program.
That's okay.
That's a program that's
live in the
limited
woods
to 10
and in the country,
kids.
and sometimes
and you're not going to have a pod of
as good as
15, 16
I think it's kind of, we were all hoping that it would get better, so it's kind of like, okay, maybe next time, and then it kept on kind of going back and forth.
And they become
Do we need to talk about the dining hall over again, or are we okay?
No, just this slide, so the patrol pods. Yep.
Okay, so our guidelines. Okay, Dana, let's back up the questions because I know this is where all of the questions are.
Yeah. So the first question is a really great question.
Of 3 to 10 scouts.
Patrol pods include mixed
They will
boys
spend their
and
day
girls.
together, and they will go to the same areas together.
I have my thoughts on that.
When
Diana,
they go to a merit badge class, there will be other pods,
So
obviously,
the
from other
answer
troops
is
that
yes,
are there.
it
But
could
we're
have a
asking
mix
that
of
those
boys
3
and
kids
girls.
stay together so they minimize that
the
mixing
boys and the girls cannot
of
stay in the
kids
same
with
tents
everybody
together,
else.
right? But they
An
could
example of
travel
that
in the
is
same
if you
patrol
have a pod of
so
4
if you
first-year
have,
campers who need to
2
go to Eagle
girls,
Quest,
we usually say at
they
least,
will be a pod.
3,
They'll stay together all week.
Of 3 in
They'll
our
go
pod,
to Eagle
so
Quest
2 girls
together.
and boys,
In the afternoon, they'll go to lunch together. In the afternoon, they'll choose what merit badges they want to do together.
Boys and
A
girls
little consensus building, a little collaboration being taught. And they'll do those activities.
It would not be one boy and one girl.
Older scouts, a pod maybe of 3 scouts who are second and third year campers. They'll work together on deciding what 5 merit badges they would like to do, and they'll go to those together.
Boys and a girl, or 2 girls and a boy, and it works just fine.
This is a good time to work with
Laura
your
wants
kids
to know if you can,
to help them form their own pods. Because they all travel with their friends anyway at summer camp. So this is an opportunity for them to say, well, these are the 2 kids that I would like to, or the 3 kids that I would like to spend my week with. And they can work together, and they will be capable of choosing what merit badges they would like to do. I think the kids will handle this and have a much better, the adults are kind of panicking about how this is going to work. If there's a particular slide you need, if you send me an email, I can do that. We'll figure this out. And we'll be able to plan who they want to spend their day with and how they want to make that happen. Your health checks, because those are still being finalized. And
I was going to say, we do have a bunch of questions, and I'm sorry I didn't mean to cut you off. Let me know when you're ready. Okay, so there's a couple of questions about the sizes of pods. Bill wants to know you can have a choice of 3 or 4 in a pod. Jim wants to know if they should push for pods of 4 to 8 to maximize utilize dining hall.
If you find yourself with that kind of a situation, before you throw your hands up and say this just isn't going to work, send me an email, call me on the phone. We will talk through your situation that's specific to you and your troop, and we will
work it out in the dining hall. I think we need to
works within our guidelines, but also works
no
for
more than
you
4
and
at a
your
table.
unit and your kids.
We're going to
one of the things that Diana and I talked about was the older youth program.
based on the kids.
That's a program that's limited to 10 to 12
so I
kids,
suspect we will
and you're not
going to
have a pod of
3,
15, 16-year-old kids that want to do that.
Have
those kids will be able to
wanna
travel to that independently, and they become a pod when they get to that, maybe some older youth program. So if that gives you an example.
That's the way it's going to go. And I did mention before that adults do not
Okay,
have to
Dana, let's
travel
back
in
up to
pods.
questions, because I know
Adults
this is
are
where
gonna be
all of the
free to move
questions
around
are.
campus the way they always have been.
So
You know that
the
you
first
need to be
question is a really
checking on
good
your kids,
question.
making
Can
sure they're getting where they're going.
patrol pods
Sometimes
include
you might
mix
want to
of
sit
boys
in on a
and
merit
girls?
badge or help at Eagle Quest. That is still,
I have my thoughts on that,
something you're
Diana.
gonna be
What are
able to
yours?
do. You're not going to put adults in
So the answer is yes, it could have a
So
mix
Kyle has
of
a
boys
very
and
good
girls.
question. I know the
Just
answer, but I'm going to let you
understand
do this.
The
Says
boys
pods.
and
How
the
does
girls
this
cannot stay in
affect
the
sign
same
up
tents
tomorrow
together,
morning?
right? But
They
could
haven't been
travel
notified
in
or
the
had
same
time to
patrol
connect.
pod.
So,
if you
Diana,
have, yes.
Should we not change that sign up date to March 31st?
So from what I know, that date has changed, and it is 2 weeks from where it should have been. So if Gerber's was tomorrow, which is the 17th, it would be 2 weeks later. So it would be the 31st, yes.
It will be the 31st. And that did not get on the website because I've had several people ask me about that. And I checked the website today and went, oh. So yes, you have several weeks to figure this out. Merit badge sign up will be open for Gerber on the 31st of March. And that's so you've got some time. I know that there are units that I have talked with who are literally going to bring this back to the kids. They're going to explain to the kids about the pod system. They're going to let the kids figure out who they want to be in a pod with. They're going to give their schedules that the kids turned in back and say, see if you can figure out how would you like to do this, and then work with your kids. Teach them the meaning of consensus and collaboration and how that works together. So Dave asked, am I suggesting that merit badge selection decisions by a pod made in camp? No, you can make them prior to camp, but also know that we will be as flexible as we can be. I mean, if some things change between when you sign up for a merit badge and when you camp, nothing is set in stone. We can make accommodations and make some alterations there. The other thing that Diana and I have talked about is if a merit badge class has a limit of 18 kids, because that's kind of how much space we generally have there. And there are 16 kids signed up for that merit badge when you go in and you have a pod of 3. That's a situation where, again, send me an email, give me a phone call. Unless it's something very, very specific, I can always say, yes, I'll put your pod of 3 in there and we'll put 19 kids in that merit badge. Because your number doesn't quite fit what our maximums are. Our maximums are generally a suggested maximum and not set in stone that we can't make accommodations for you. Drew and I have committed to, we are gonna make this work in the best possible way for you. I have also told units that if it would be helpful to you to have me come to a unit meeting, to come and meet with your parents, to come and talk to your kids about how to do this, all you need to do is ask, and I will do my very best to fit it into the schedule and come meet you where you're at to kind of help us work through this process. Other questions, Diana? I see one at
yeah, go ahead.
2 scouts for Eagle Quest. If you only have 2 scouts for Eagle Quest, you do not need to send someone back who's already been there. That's one of those special circumstances. Just send me a phone call or email and explain your circumstance, and you will have a pod of 2.
Yeah, Mary, there's a lot of questions, pretty much on the same thing with pods. Like, I have some that have smaller troops or some that only have older scouts that wouldn't be able to fit in a larger pod.
Yes. I'm not sure where.
Oh, sorry. So, one of the questions is, I have older scouts that may not fit into a pod. I think we hit the older scout question. They can't go to certain badges. This question for Mary specifically is, would they be able to get a refund if they cannot go to get the badges that they want? Another one is, I only have one first-year camper, and so they would be, would they be able to join another pod in the afternoon if they only have one? So these are a lot of one-off questions for you.
Okay, and I think those are all the specific kinds of things that send me an email, and we'll deal with each one of those very specific to your troop questions. I'd rather do that individually and work with you where I can talk with you back and forth, and we can figure out what's going to be the best way for your kids. I see where you're going. I'm not going to say that one little scout that has to come to Eagle Quest has to be alone all day. That doesn't make sense. We will work a plan that meets that scout's needs. I've had people ask me, they have special needs scouts, and so that is going to impact some of how we do this. I know we have a scout with some mobility issues. Those are all individual kinds of situations. We will work with you and we will find a plan so that your scout gets what they need and is successful and has a fun time at summer camp. Older scouts especially, I realize they're not going to want to be in a pod with 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds, nor are they going to take those same merit badges. Send me an email, give me a phone call. We will figure out a plan that works for your kids so that they have a good summer. I promise you that.
Mary, there's a couple of questions about evening activities and how is that going to work with pods?
So I will give you a short answer on that at the moment. Our program director, Marie, and our high adventure director, Keith, are the theme for the summer is the Olympics. And so that is going to lend itself rather well to have some unique evening programs. They are working on a plan where pods can participate as a pod, for example, in a moving decathlon. So if there's going to be, it might be a competition over the course of the week where kids will go and they'll have a schedule and they'll go to the different areas and have program in the evening, and they'll earn points or scores or things like that will all get tallied at the end of the week. They're working on a way so that 11-year-olds compete with 11-year-olds and 17-year-olds only compete with 17-year-olds. They have a big plan. They're in the middle of working on it, so I don't want to try to explain the whole thing, but they are being very conscious of the fact that kids need to be involved with activity and their friends. The number of kids or pods we can put together in an area in the evening is dependent on the square footage that we have in that area. So if you think more, everybody in the activity field playing volleyball together, we'll have lots of activities and they'll get to move around camp and do different activities in different places around camp. I think the other question that attaches to that is fire bowl. We will be able to do some fire bowl activities. We are looking at some unique things, having 3 fire bowls down in our traditional fire bowl area. But Drew and I were literally out there last weekend and we were measuring benches and counting so that if we are socially distanced in the fire bowl, how many people can we bring down there? Again, on a small week, I think we'll be able to do a fire bowl. We have seating for about 280 people on our benches. So we'll still have fire bowl. If we have a big week, we might do a fire bowl A and a fire bowl B, and half the camp comes in for the first fire bowl, and then we send them out down along the lake to their campsites and bring the other group in. We're going to try to keep as many of those things the same, so we always had. Drew is working with the Order of the Arrow. We will still be doing our Order of the Arrow call-out ceremony. They'll still be able to do their ordeal at camp. He's working on those details and getting that set in place. So there will still be a lot of the things that you're used to happening at camp.
I'm glad you answered that OA question because somebody did have an OA question about that. So that's great.
So.
The great question, Jim did have a question on, do you know what the signups will look like since they're going from individuals to pods, or are we still in development of that?
We are still in the development of that, and thankfully that is not something I have to be an expert at. And so I can't answer that question, but hopefully by the time we get to the 31st, we will have someone who will be able to answer that, and we'll put out some directions. I suspect
Well, I guess I better not even guess. Do you know, Diane, any more details on that?
I'm going to take my best educated guess from knowing the system is that before we did individuals, so you would sign up a youth and then you would pick their merit badges for the youth. I'm guessing you're still going to have to assign merit badges per youth. I don't know if that's going to be done as we normally do individually, or you're going to have to sign up individually in a group. So you might have a little group, it's like a pod. You might have to be like, okay, in this pod you can have, between 3 to 10 spots, and who are you going to assign to that? So you're still going to have to do some sort of assignment, but I'm not sure how that's going to look in the system.
Somebody is having to redo the system is the bottom line, and
we have one of our camp directors that knows Black Pug really well, and he's working on that right now. He actually did a trial of this last spring before we were going to do summer camp last year. So he is working to change all of the registrations that we have right now in the system. So we can get that information out, and I know that we are going to get that out to everybody, not just this group, but all camps. We're going to get that information out on how that registration is going to look, so you'll have that information before you actually do your sign-ups 2 weeks from now.
So in relation to merit badges, when Marie and Keith and I met a week ago and we're talking about merit badges and program areas, one of the was instead of using picnic tables and lots of picnic tables in our merit badge areas, we probably will reduce the number of picnic tables and ask that scouts, if they're able to, bring a camp chair or a bag chair, because we can socially distance a lot more people that way in an area than if we have to seat them at picnic tables. And if the merit badge requires writing, then obviously we'll have tables. If it's handicraft and they're hammering on leather, they'll obviously have tables. But in some of the other areas where it's a much more hands-on approach and they're doing things, if they bring a chair with them, that'll be a much easier way to use our space. We have plenty of space. We have lots of acreage. We can spread out our merit badges. They aren't all going to be jammed under one pavilion. They'll be, so for example, at ecology, one class may meet under the pavilion, one class may meet at the turtle pond, one class will probably meet at the Takasan Longhouse. So they'll be spread out and have lots of room to socially distance, but be active and have hands-on and having a lot of fun while they're out at their merit badge classes. I don't think we have to restrict our ranges. Carl and I, we are going to get out there and measure and how far we can spread out those tables, but I think we're in pretty good shape. So I don't foresee canceling merit badges. I don't foresee changing schedules of merit badges at this point in time. It's just going to be a matter of making sure we spread so that we meet the guidelines that we need to. So I don't foresee big changes there unless something changes that we don't anticipate at this point.
One of the questions about pods is the pods need to take the same merit badges, not just the same merit badge area. So do they have to take the same merit badges, or can they take different merit badges within that same area?
They need to take the same merit badges. So if they are, for example, going to Eagle Quest, that pod of 3 will go to Eagle Quest in the morning. They'll go to lunch and they'll have decided, and they'll say, well, we are going to take leatherworking in the afternoon and we're going to take swimming. So they'll work together and plan their day, what they'd like to do together. That's why I'm saying, I think realistically, we're going to have a lot of groups of 3. So go ahead and think small in your numbers.
Right? Small is good.
Yes. But if you give it to the kids, to decide, they're going to pick their pods based on who they want to travel. They all travel in pods anyway when they're at summer camp, but then they can talk about that. They can make those decisions. Again, there will be some that are just unique. Talk to me. Send me an email. We'll figure those out for you.
Kim wants to know if the pods need to follow the 2-year gap rule. I can answer that if you know what I'm talking about.
Please do. I mean, I know what I would let you do it.
So I'm guessing you mean 2-year gap rule by the ages. So the pods do not have to, like if you have a 16-year-old and you have a 12-year-old, I know that's 4 years. Let's go at 17, right? 17-year-old and what did I say? 12. Yeah. And that's more than 2, right? They can travel together. So it's really the sleeping arrangements. That's that gap that we have to worry about. So if they are in the same pod, that would be okay.
Right, because they will always be, in the public with other people and never really alone during that time. So
at least Kim, I hope that's what you're asking. That's how I read that question.
I think
Mary, I like this question. I can answer it, but I'm going to let you answer it because it's exciting. If the state cancels mask requirements, will the camp follow suit?
We will follow the guidelines that we are given by our licensing regulatory agency. And if they say we don't have to wear masks, then we
don't have to wear masks.
And I guess I will tell you this. This changes so rapidly. We want you to have the best information out there, which is why we're telling you this now. It's March. It's the middle of March. Summer camp doesn't happen until the middle of June. There are lots of opportunities for things to change. I heard on NPR this afternoon as I was driving that the state has changed the guidelines for elementary schools, and elementary school kids only need to socially distance to 3 feet. We'll see where that goes. We'll see where that takes us. Just be flexible. This is the summer of flexibility, and realize that we pledge to tell you what we know as soon as we know it, and as soon as, to help you plan. But I think we just all have to be flexible and know that things are going to change from now till June.
Yeah, and Mary, I'm sure you mentioned this before. It's literally we are following our state and licensing guidelines right now. As if we were running camp right now, this is what we have to follow. So if the state, in our licensing specifically says we do not have to wear masks anymore, then we won't. But as of this precise moment, then we do.
We do. And I think the big thing there is we are licensed by the state of Michigan to operate a resident camp, and they tell us what these guidelines are going to be. This is not a Michigan Crossroads Council decision. This is not Michigan Crossroads Council saying, well, I think we're going to do this or I think we're going to do that. This is the state licensing agency. And if we wish to be open, we need to follow those guidelines the same way that we follow the BSA camp standards for running a quality program. It's just the way we have to do things this year. And the best thing that I can ask is that you have a positive attitude and that you be flexible and that you reach out to me as frequently as you need to know that we'll help you work through and find a way to make your kids have a fun summer. That's our goal. Have a fun summer, let them do as much as they can.
That's right. And Mary, if any of these restrictions change, will we be sending out updates?
Yes, absolutely. As soon as we have them and have them available to share, we will. I suspect that when we do this webinar a month from now, we'll be talking about some things that will have changed. Hopefully they'll all be changing for the better.
That's keeping our fingers crossed on that, right?
Certainly am.
Dave P. wants to know if parent night is nixed, and would that extend to mean no non-leader parents can witness OA call out?
The way the guidelines are now, Dave, yes. There will not be people, visitors able to enter camp during the week. We're putting a bubble together, and that bubble includes our campers, our staff, and our adult leaders. And so at this point, with the restrictions the way they are, family night is not going to happen, and that parents are not going to be coming in. Drew and I have talked about our schedule and how that impacts things that we do on Wednesday. And we are not going to change what Wednesday looks like. We will still do lunch, patrol cooking lunch in the campsites on Wednesday noon. We will still work with units to have options for what they would like to do with their meal Wednesday night in the campsite. We've got some interesting things working that will maybe give you some other options for what you might like to do for your meal Wednesday night. And it's things that will make your life easier. We'll roll those out to you. Let me know a little bit more in April. So at this point, that's our situation. It does not impact a leader, for example, who is coming in midweek. It does not impact a leader who, because of his job, needs to leave camp during the day on Wednesday to hit his office and then come back Wednesday night. We'll temperature check when he comes back in. We can still make that happen. That's part of our bubble.
but we're not having visitors coming in and joining our group. Again, that's something that may change between now and June. That's why we're not changing our schedule. If it changes and it's something that we can do, then we're going to be in place to make that happen. But for right now, the answer is no.
Mary, there's a question here from Jim. I'm going to answer it. It says maybe a YouTube video tutorial showing steps of pod sign-up could be distributed. Glad that you asked, Jim. We actually have one of our staff members, and they are working on a tutorial right now, so that will be posted, and we will say that we have it so you can look to see once it is completed. So yes, we will have that tutorial for you. Dave P says, Semper Gumby, be flexible, which is great.
I love it.
Mary says, what about if the state says we will not need pods?
We will follow the guidelines that the state gives us. So again, be flexible. And I, like I said before, merit badge sign up, we'll do it. We're going to do it at the end of March. If the state changes their guidelines and we don't need to do that, we'll figure out a way to redo and make adjustments to their schedules as we need to. I mean, for those of you who have been around long enough, you probably remember when after Fire Bowl on Sunday night happened, everybody hit the pavilion and signed up Sunday night for their merit badges once they got to camp. I don't foresee doing that, but I also foresee that if we need to make some changes in that system, we can do that.
Mary, there's a question here about the swim test, and I'll answer that if you don't mind.
I don't.
Okay, I figured. Jackie's asking with the swim test, how far back can they go use their current classification record? So if they did a swim test in the fall, would it work? So being an aquatics director for God even knows how many years, 20 plus years, I can tell you that we require that you have a swim test done within that calendar year. So fall of 2020 would not work for summer of 2021. It would be from any time in January through now timeframe for that.
But it would be acceptable for a unit to schedule an opportunity to go to their community pool or the Y and do swim tests there before they come to camp, correct?
Of course, of course. For pods during open time, will it then be a majority rules within that pod?
Yes, it will. But we still anticipate having open program between 4 and 5 the way we normally have. Each area will have a maximum number that can go in, which is similar to what we've always done. But so if they want to go out to rifle shooting and they get to rifle shooting and they're full, they can wait right there. And the staff are going to be encouraged to, if they see people waiting, to encourage others to kind of move on to something else, and so that they'll have that opportunity to come in. So there will be kind of a maximum number allowed in each program area, but we anticipate we'll have open program. They'll just, this is a whole lot of consensus building and collaboration in these little pods. Lots of good skills learned from kids.
Right, very much. Bill asks, if you have a pod of 8, do you have 8 at a table in the dining hall?
Nope, 4 at a table in the dining hall.
So what if you have more than, we'll say what happens if you have 10? How does that work?
Then they will be at 3 tables.
Thank you. That was somebody earlier. I figured we'd answer.
I mean, and you guys, and they can decide. I mean, they could go 3, 3, and 2. They could, or 3, 3, and 4. I don't know. Yeah, however it works. I doubt that anybody's going to have pods of 10 because, you know, kids are pretty flexible, but I don't know if they're that flexible, you know, but maybe.
Kim is asking, a swim test by YMCA lifeguard okay? So normally we have everything go through our aquatics chairman, Jay Richardson, to make sure everything is good. I am sure he would say that would be okay. We do have a form that you can fill out. The other thing that I want to reiterate about swim tests being taken before summer camp. Yes, we do allow them, but we also say that we reserve the right to retest your scouts if needed, because we do understand some scouts are very comfortable in a pool, but then when it comes to a lake, it is very different. So if we feel that your scout maybe should not be a swimmer and we've noticed it, we do have the right to retest your scouts.
But, and correct me if I'm wrong, Diana, but if that were the case, that they would certainly communicate with the leaders.
Of course.
Yeah. And not just say, oh, sorry, you're not allowed here, but they would communicate with you and talk with you about, you know, that's an individual and what they're observing.
That's correct. So as I said, you know, there's a couple of swim tests going on here. Can our swim merit badge counselor give the swim test? Mary, what I will do is I will send you information about swim tests, and then if you can send it out to everybody here, that would be, we can do that. Okay. So
I'll also put it on the Gerber Facebook page because that's easy to access. If I remember correctly, Diana, because I've used it in the past, the person who administers the swim test must be a certified lifeguard.
Right.
So not just a swimming merit badge counselor is not going to do it. But if you were to go to your community pool or your local high school pool, their lifeguards can administer that test. They are certified lifeguards.
Yeah, so if you have your merit badge counselor, that's great. Once again, if they are a lifeguard, but the merit badge counselor can still be there, you know. But
right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that lifeguard is definitely a must-have on that side. So I will make sure you have that information and you can post that, Mary.
Thank
Jim,
you.
this is amazing. Thank you. I said a new theme for a summer camp is honorary 13th point of the Scout Law. Scout is agile. I like it. Usually I say a scout is hungry, but I like agile.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, Red Cross, YMCA are all good, Jackie, so you should be good on that. Brian asked, swimming and water rescue is allowed to test.
That is true. That is correct. That is the class that is offered to leaders so that they can do their own. I know we don't have anything scheduled. We had talked about offering that in the spring, Diana, and then what I had planned fell through. But we just hired a new aquatics director for Gerber this summer, and I will look into the possibility of offering that class in the spring for any leaders who would like to take it so they can test their own kids. We only hired
Dave
to go, so I need to, you know, give her a couple minutes to think before I.
I hear she's pretty stellar, though.
She is very stellar. You guys are all going to love her.
So Mary, there is we'll say a certification called a swimming and water rescue. So you know how we have Safe Swim Afloat and safety. Yep. Goodness gracious, Safe Swim Afloat and what? Swimming and water rescue. Paddlecraft safety, Safe Swim Afloat and paddlecraft safety are the two levels, and then we have now it's totally blanking in my brain. What's the other one, Mary? Goodness gracious. Swim and water rescue, and what's the lower level of that? Thank you, Safe Swim Defense. Thank you, Cam. I don't know why that totally. So Safe Swim Defense was our first training, and that doesn't make, you know, that has like all the points that you have to hit.
Right.
Swimming and water rescue is a longer training, which that's
an 8-hour training.
Yep.
I looked that one up. That one's an 8-hour training, and so is the paddlecraft safety an 8-hour training. What I would like to do, if we can work that out, is to offer those on a weekend, maybe just on a Saturday where you come up, or if you wanted to camp and then do it on a Saturday. I will try to make those available for adult leaders before sometime in May so that you could get it in time to go and test your own kids. I know we have several people who have asked me if we can make that happen. So now that I know who my aquatics director is, I think we can do that.
So Mary wants to know if swimming and water rescue will give them able to do the swim test. Will they be qualified? Yes.
Yes, that 8-hour course, it qualifies you to do your own swim tests with your kids. And they can be done in a pool or in a lake.
Yes, yeah. I used to teach swim and water rescue, and it's definitely fun. And paddlecraft safety, those are great. Well, hey, totally different question. I'm sorry?
Then you can come and teach them.
I've got 3 camp schools this year, Mary.
I know. I hear you. I have 2.
A great question. Will unit photos still be offered? Will they have to socially distance and or wear masks?
I have my thoughts on that, Diana. What are yours?
I don't know if you're offering photos or not.
We always offer a photo. That is one of the things that we do. We have somebody come in, they take the photos. Like a school photographer, units can then order the photo and pay for it, and it gets mailed to them directly.
Perfect. So that answers that question. So technically, yes. And even in a photo, you still need to be that far apart. We still have to socially distance. I would love to say, okay, everybody hold your breath and let's just take a quick picture. But, you know, we're following the rules. We're going to have to keep social distance at all times, whether that be in a group photo or not. So we can strategically place scouts and leaders and take it from a good angle where it doesn't look like you're totally spaced out. But yes.
So maybe we'll just have to get really creative on how and when we take those and how we can make it look really cool for summer.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, everybody does like a different pose or in a different spot. You know, somebody's hiding behind a tree or something like that. You know, I think it'd work. It'd be great.
We'll figure out a way.
Yes. But Bonnie, it says mask required for photos. Masks will be, you know, we are supposed to be wearing masks at all times. Unless, as I said before, you know, we're eating, sleeping, or swimming.
Swimming.
So that would be required. Yes. Unfortunately, I can't say, okay, everybody hold your breath.
I wish, but not true.
Thank you, Dave. Dave says he knows those photographers. He'll talk to them about the best angles. From a ladder, it'd be great. A ladder would be awesome. Yeah.
I mean, think of the things you could do on that flag field. You know, you could have all of your kids playing, looking up. You know, like in a pattern, and take it from above.
Right.
I have a friend who has a drone with a camera. Maybe we take some that way.
That would be super cool, Mary. I think that is really the end of the questions. I know Brian says pictures in the lake. Hey, you know, let's become creative. I love it.
We can be creative. So if that's the case, let's go to the next slide because we're not done. I knew this was a long one, but we're not done. So merit badge sign up, and we've really talked about this, so it's going to be really quick. It's completed in Black Pug. You have to have $100 paid per scout in order to do that. You want to collect your schedules from your patrol pods so you know what you're going to do, and then we will have a how to enter it in Black Pug video. The link that is there is how to enter it the way the system is now. Please just wait. We'll get that new link to you, and so we'll have that video, and that's really the tutorial you're going to need. I would need it as well to make that happen. So next slide, please, Chris. Just a reminder that these are the sessions, the weeks. If you're someone on this call who has not signed up yet for summer camp, these are our sessions. I will tell you right now that session 3, that's always a small session. So if you're looking for a small experience, a small number of people in camp and an experience that way, that's the week you want to use to sign up for camp. The registration link is at the bottom, scoutingevent.com/272, and then the rest, it's right there. That'll take you directly to your sign up. What I would ask for all of those of you who have signed up, and I'm going to be contacting you via phone probably, make sure that you have gone in. I helped the lady do it today. Make sure that you go into your registration. If you are still in estimated mode, please go in and confirm the numbers that you have. You can make changes from now until the week before you come to summer camp. But for us to plan accordingly and know where we're headed, it will help us if you can go in, confirm your numbers, start putting names in with those numbers. Those are gonna have to be there before you can do your merit badge sign up anyway. So if you would go in, confirm, start filling in those names, that will help us as we go forward. And if you don't do that soon, then we're gonna talk on the phone about how I can help you do that. So next slide, Chris. Some general information. We are still hiring. We have filled all of our area director positions. We have some very exciting people on staff in those positions this year, and I think you're going to be just thrilled with the people that we've selected. But we are still looking for youth and adults who would like to come and help fill out that staff. We are looking for 16 to 18-year-olds to fit in most of the program areas. We have a little bit of leeway there. So if you have scouts in your unit that you think would be a good fit, please have them apply online. They can still have a week to attend camp with your troop. That's not a problem, but we'd love to have them the other 4 weeks on staff helping us out. We also have lots of adult volunteer opportunities. So if you have some time to give or you'd like to just help with some things as we get going this summer, give me a call, give me an email. We'll talk about what you would like to do, and we'd love to have your help. We are open for rustic camping. We have 5 campsites right now that are open that can be reserved on a weekend at no cost to your unit. This weekend, they're full, but they're not for the rest of the weekends going forward. We'd love to see your troop in camp. It's a great way to get your new kids acclimated to camp and where they're going to be going. Come on up, spend a weekend with us. It doesn't cost you a thing. You just need to register for the site. You get to pick the one you want, and I will email you about how we check in for that. There are events that are happening this winter yet. Winter, I'm hoping, is gone, and spring. Keep an eye on our Facebook page and the MCC calendar for more information. And Chris, if you go to the next slide, I actually put some of those things there, and we can talk about them in a minute. So when I talk about volunteers and the help that we need, March 27th, April 10th, and May 1st are all Saturdays. And those are camp work days from 9 in the morning till 4 p.m. We need your help. Camp hasn't had people in it for 2 years. So it's a whole lot bigger job to get ready for summer camp this summer than it has been in the past. Those are oak trees out there. And if, 1 year's worth of oak leaves is a lot, 2 years is really overwhelming. We have buildings that we have not been able to use. We need your help. So adults only for those. I love my camp days. We'll feed you, and we would just appreciate any help that you would be willing to give. If you're a unit that feels like you'd rather do this with your kids because you'd like to teach them some things about service, call me. We'll schedule a time. You can have a campsite and work a couple hours doing a project for us. That would be awesome as well. We have some very exciting events coming up. It's called the SAR Challenge. It's a search and rescue weekend. It's designed for older youth patrols or venture crews or explorers. It's an event where you'd sign up as a small group. We're going to be bringing in professionals in the area of search and rescue and first aid and disaster preparedness. And they're actually going to do some instructional sessions with your groups. And on Sunday morning, we'll actually have some scenarios. And so they can show off the skills that they've learned and compete against themselves and each other. All meals are provided for that weekend. It's a unique and exciting experience for some older kids. Shooting sport merit badge days. April is shotgun. May 1st is rifle. They're going to be run a little differently this year because we learned something from Camp Sorta Lake. The parts of a merit badge, shooting sports merit badge, that is all that classroom bookwork, we're going to offer that as a virtual class prior to coming up to camp. So they'll get that done with Carl Boss ahead of time, and they'll come in for the afternoon on those days, and it will be all shooting time. So those are available. Those are open and live as of midnight tonight on the website, so you can get your kids signed up for those. Venturing kickback. I know you're not venturers, but please share this with your older scouts and your venture crews. We didn't get to do it in February when we always do because of COVID. So we've moved it to May. It's going to be an outdoor event. They're going to get to do all sorts of fun activities. It's for venture crews, and they come from all over the state. But please share it with crews that you're aware of. Outing for scouting. Drew, if you want to talk about that, it's scheduled for that weekend in April. It's a great activity for troops and packs. I think Drew sent me a text today that said that they are at capacity. Is that correct, Drew? We're going to assume that that's the case, but check it out. I mean, if it's something you haven't signed up for yet, check out that website and maybe there's some space available. This last one is exceptionally exciting for me. And we had a meeting on this last night with a great group of volunteers. We are going to offer an Eagle Quest 2020 makeup weekend. This is for those scouts that crossed over to your units last year and didn't go to summer camp because we didn't have it. So they didn't get to do Eagle Quest, and now they're 12. And they really don't want to have to spend their whole summer down at Eagle Quest because they're older than that. We are going to run Eagle Quest 2020 the weekend of April 30th to May 2nd. It will work just like Eagle Quest. We're going to cover all those things: cooking, first aid, citizenship, scout skills. We're going to take a 5-mile hike. We're going to do all those things in a really, really jam-packed weekend, so those scouts who crossed over in 2020 can come to summer camp 2021 as a true second-year camper. We've opened that up right now for 40 scouts to come.
we're asking that if you send your crossovers from 2020, send one adult with them. You do not need to provide a second adult because we're going to group them in campsites in slightly larger groups, and you can combine and share leadership. We have assembled, and I have a huge group of volunteers who are going to put this on. They are busy working on planning all those activities so those kids can finish up all those things that you need to do to become a first-class scout and move on. So I'm really excited. If you have questions about that or need to know more about that one, please let me know. It's going to be a great weekend. It is a more costly weekend, just so you know, because we are talking, about a huge, long program. It's longer, actually, by hours than the session of Cub Camp. So there is going to be, I think, some assistance available. So if you have a scout that really needs to do this, but you think it's going to be a hardship for that family, please contact me. I've been working with our folks in development, and we're working on a way to provide some scholarships to attend that weekend. The last thing on the list is called Fishing Frenzy. We did it, probably a year ago now, since we've been able to do it. It is just exactly that. It's a fishing day. We will have experts in fishing down at the lake. It's not a merit badge. It's time to fish, learn to fish, have some fun. They can catch their fish. They can clean their fish. They can cook their fish. And people will help them with learning how to fish. It's kind of a fun day. It's open to Cubs, Boy Scouts, all ages, the same day. So those are the things that are up on our calendar coming up yet this spring before summer camp. If you would like to volunteer to help with any of those, let me know. We will certainly be able to use you, and please share the information about our work days because they are critical to being able to run summer camp this summer. Any questions about those that for the good of the group, or are we?
Yes.
Good? Okay.
So there's two groups of questions, Mary. There's some just general questions for summer camp, and then there's upcoming events.
Okay.
So I'm going to just go general questions. What about bikes for adults to get around camp quickly? I'm guessing this is for during summer camp.
You may ride bikes on camp. We ask you to stay on the roads, not the trails through the woods, but stay on the roads. Obviously, you will need to wear a mask. You will need to wear a helmet. But yes, you can bring bikes.
Awesome. And then Kim asks if we have a fee for Eagle Quest 2020 makeup yet.
Yes, we priced it the same way that we priced the session of Cub Scout resident camp because that's basically the time frame. So it's $120 for the weekend, and that includes all of their meals, 6 meals, all of their program supplies, and everything that they need for that weekend. And again, if you have a family, and adults pay half that, just like going to Cub Camp. If you have a scout that needs to participate and needs some assistance, please contact me. We're working with a grant that's been given to the camp to help fund some of those things.
Awesome. Is venturing kickback at Venture Based or Gerber Scout Reservation?
It will be at Gerber Scout Reservation because we're still not in a situation where we're going to use buildings. So it will be at Gerber Scout Reservation. We're going to look at the Star Path campsites as our base of operations because it's closest to our program areas. We'll still have shooting sports. We'll have archery. We'll have the climbing tower. We'll do some geocaching. We'll do disc golf. We'll do fat tire biking. Meals will be provided the same way they always have been. It's just a different season, same kind of fun and fellowship.
Do you have a flyer with all of these events so they could participants could send this out, or leaders could send this out to their units?
I don't, but I could if you give me about a week. I will do.
Brian asked, so I will let you follow up with that.
So my question then to Brian or anyone else is, I can put that together. What is the best way to share that with you?
Yeah, he just wants, I'm guessing Brian might be a commissioner, and he said so he can take it to our unit. So, or it might be just his unit. So
I'll put one together and then we'll figure out a way to get it out to everybody.
Great. Email. So far, we've got an answer that says email, please.
Oh, okay.
I am. Okay. I'm guessing this refers to the fishing frenzy. Will they be able to use rowboats?
No, we do not use rowboats. We will use fishing docks. We use the boat docks. They can travel around any portion of the lake.
they can go over to Little Britain Lake and fish there. We've done this event in the past, and that seems to work really well. They will catch fish. I promise you, the last time we did this event, a first-year scout caught a 22-inch, 5-pound bass from the boat dock.
That's pretty darn good.
About as big as he was. And we have our experts. There. We have our experts there that will help them learn how to clean them. We'll deep fry them. I thought that was going to be a good opportunity for me because I really like fish. Because I thought kids won't eat fish. I got one little tiny bite from the whole day. They all ate their fish. So it's just we'll provide worms. We'll have some fishing poles if people don't have them. We'll have a small number available that they can borrow. It's just a fun day of catching fish. And it's going to be very inexpensive.
For the May 1st, I guess Drew just wants us to know that for the May 1st, I Love My Camp Day. It's open to everyone, not just adults. And you can camp overnight, and there will be a continental breakfast and a bag lunch. And that's just for the May 1st date.
Correct. The other two dates are going to be adults only because the projects are going to be something that's really going to require. They're not technical projects. None of these work days require you to be an electrician or a plumber or any of those things. But they're going to be, some projects for groups, small groups that require a little bit of adulting.
That is all the questions for this slide, Mary.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide, which I believe is our last slide. And it's a big, huge thank you. And tonight it's a big thank you for your patience. I appreciate your patience as we work through this and as we are trying to figure out what summer camp is going to look like. Please continue to be patient. Reach out to me. I would love to talk with you. It's a pretty continuous thing at my house right now between emails and my phone. My phone has been ringing tonight during the webinar. I will get back to you if you leave me a message. I will answer my phone. I've answered a lot of crazy robocalls because I don't want to miss anybody whose number doesn't have a name attached to it. But I will answer my phone, and I would love to talk with you. I will meet with you if that's something that works good. I am working with Tom Sturdivant and Lucas Kelly. We are going to put together just a couple little fireside chats in Eagle Spirit and in the Holland Grand Haven area so that we have an opportunity to get some in-person time and talk over some of these things. So watch for that information to come out. It'll be specifically a time to answer your questions and address your concerns. I won't come with an agenda. It's going to be a time to talk and figure out how we can make this work for Scouts. So watch for those two coming up and literally just send me an email. I will help in any way I can. Thank you. A huge thank you for all that you're doing for your kids. And I'm so happy that you're wanting to bring your kids to camp. Hopefully we'll see you on a weekend between now and summer camp. But for sure, we'll see you at summer camp. Thank you so much. Diana, thanks for your help tonight. Chris, as always, thank you for all that you're doing behind the scenes. They don't know who you are, but I appreciate it. And if that's it for the night, then we will call it a night. We'll talk to you all at least again in a month. Thanks.